All right, boss, take it away.
Here we are with episode 4 of Rule 43, the Lower Mainland's premier cycling podcast, featuring myself, Wyatt Anton, and my co host, Jordan Bean.
Hey, everybody. We don't usually let people in on our BTS action, but this is the second time we've recorded in as many weeks, I think. So we're
We're on
we're
to
on
it.
we're on a roll here. Pretty
We just
crazy.
got too much material. That was
Mhm.
that was one of your resolutions last week, right?
My resolution is to when Wyatt says jump, I say how high. No, I this is just a terrific excuse to hang out with you. Um, and so when you suggest that we should, I'm all over it. Let's do it.
Aw,
Let's do it, man.
we better get a studio together.
You know, I was thinking about that, the logistics, the hardware challenges of sitting side by side, lighting. It's two microphones. I have to figure out a way that we can run two microphones at once.
Three
Because I don't
microphones,
think.
because we're gonna have to have a guest one.
Yeah, fair point. And maybe one turned up real loud, but I'm fairly certain these are quite directional. Um,
Oh,
so I mean, we'll work if that's our biggest hurdle. Whatever, let's
we'll
go
figure it
for it.
out. We'll make it work. People have done more with
Mhm.
less.
And we have a
Um,
theme. We have a theme for this show.
Indoor training. And while we get to our indoor training, on account of the inclement weather, I thought that'd be a topical pursuit for this episode.
There's still some
Here in
snow on the ground in
Vancouver,
Vancouver.
yeah. If you're not from Vancouver, we got like a foot of snow. It pretty much ground the city to a halt. There were, countless inconveniences for people that could have been compared to deaths here in the first world.
And bike routes, bike paths are the last to be cleared. So even though the rain has come along and subsequently melted much of the actual snow, it's like it's still not ideal for riding out there. Bike
No.
lanes are still full of piles of snow. Bike routes. It's sort of. I don't want to pick on the city. I don't want to poke fun at Ken Sims Vancouver, but it does seem like bike routes aren't the priority with the plow trucks.
It doesn't seem like bike routes are much a priority for anything other
I
than
just noticed
bikes.
where I live here, there's like 8th Avenue and there's 7th Avenue, and 7th Avenue is a bike route, and 8th Avenue was perfectly clear, and 7th Avenue had an inch of snow, and um, there was greater effort put into the removal of the snow on 8th that I could see. So that's the specific thing that I'm talking about, and that might be somewhat anecdotal and not representative of the city at large, but um, would Gregor Robertson's Vancouver be the same? I don't think so. I just don't think so.
I
I don't want
don't
to make
think
this.
I don't
I
know.
don't
They
make
have a
this a
hard enough
political
time getting the
show.
roads, getting the
Well,
roads cleared all.
I'm referring to the road, right? Like it's just, but one is a bike route where you've got the, um, the bike signs and the roundabouts and such, and then the one that's not a bike route was the one that had the proper snow clearing taking place. I've taken us wildly off topic.
Yeah, well, not exactly, because with that danger outside, with the predicaments that a guy could find himself in riding around on two wheels in the snow, many of us were forced inside to get our bike fix in, and that's what we're going to talk about with you guys today. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, Zwift saw a lot of action from Lower Mainland cyclists this week.
I might have done. I can't actually remember. My memory is actually this bad, but I might have done my first 100-kilometer ride on Zwift yesterday.
Like first ever?
Yeah, I think so.
Ew.
Yeah, it wasn't. It's not like I would highly recommend it.
No, it's not ideal.
It's this weird thing where indoor training, for anybody who's watching that's done it, it's it's more difficult. There's no way around the fact that it is more difficult, and it has to do with the stationary nature of the bike. I think there's the heat of indoors, there's boredom, there's a bunch of other things that I think we should probably talk about. But physically speaking, it is more difficult because the bike is so static. And even if there's a little bit of rocking, and even though it's like, I've got a carbon frame with tons of compliance and everything else, your ass gets sore, man.
Yeah, you're pretty much molded in there. You're pretty just shoved into the cockpit, and you don't got. There's not a whole lot of leeway.
Yeah, you find yourself shifting around an awful lot. I like riding for 2.5 hours. The hardest part was shifting around in the saddle, I found. Fitness wise, even boredom wise, wasn't the worst, although feels like that should be a segment of the show too, talking about trying to entertain yourself and keep yourself suitably distracted enough to stay on the trainer.
Luckily, I included that in our show notes today, so
thank you again for preparing show notes.
That's okay. I go through this all week. I'm assuming you were on Zwift, correct?
Yes.
Rightly assume, and I assume that probably 99% of the people that are listening to this are on Zwift, but
you're
not. There are.
You zag when other people zig.
I zag, my wallet zags because for a whole membership fee less, for a whole subscription fee less, you can go on my Whoosh and do pretty much the exact same thing, but you just don't have your friends around. But I mean, realistically, you don't have your friends around anyway. Like group rides on, to me, group rides on Zwift is like being in a group on Facebook. It's not real.
I'm going to have to push back. I'm going to differ with you on that.
Please do.
Just the other day, we do this thing that actually, this is probably the perfect thing to talk about on this podcast. We do this. We have a Zwift hack. As Zwifters know, if you do 50,000 meters of elevation, you get the Tron bike, and that's the most desirable bike in the game. So everybody wants a Tron bike, but it's hard to do 50,000 meters of elevation. But one hack that you can do is you can do these banded group rides where everybody stays together regardless of the power output. And so if you join that meetup, you all get to go at the same pace together. And so what I do as a favor to friends is I'll say, hey, I'm going to go and climb Alpe du Zwift. Does anybody want to join a banded group ride? And anybody who does can come along and essentially climb Alpe du Zwift at the pace that I climb.
You are a saint, sir. You are a saint.
Thank you. Yes, it is my, giving back to the community, so to speak. But it means that anybody who comes along can climb Alpe du Zwift much quicker than they typically would.
Free meters.
When you pair that with, we have a Discord server, so we can do live chat as well. And so you are seeing one another's avatars. You are rolling together up a mountain, passing people like crazy, because that's just how it ends up happening. And you are chatting with those people in person. It is the closest thing to a group ride. And given there's no wind noise or traffic danger, etc., one could argue that it's even more social than a typical ride, at least the riding portion. So I think that a group ride on Zwift can actually be quite social and nothing at all like a Facebook group.
Parasocial. Sure. Isn't that the new buzzword?
Yeah. This is the first time I've heard it, but
I'll give it to you. If it keeps you together,
usage.
If it keeps turning those cranks over, I'm happy for you guys. That said, there are some alternatives to Zwift riding. Bunch of other programs. I just mentioned my Whoosh. There's also like Rowvy, Trainer Road, Full Gas, a bunch of stuff like that. I've never heard of anybody using any of the other ones. I've never seen anybody in person use the other one.
Sufferfest.
Sufferfest turned into a different thing though. Wahoo bought Sufferfest, and it turned into system or something like that. I can't remember. They had a whole suite of cycling software, and again, I don't know anybody that's ever used it.
You said something just now about if it keeps you in the saddle, turning the cranks over. And for me, we did this banded group ride the other day, and I was very grateful to the people who accompanied me because I felt accountable to them, and it kept me pedaling longer. And so I get a ton of value from not just the gamification, but the socialization of Zwift. And of course, as you know, I coach the team that we have in the Tuesday night leagues. We're starting back up again on this coming Tuesday, from the time that we're recording this, not from the time that the people are watching it. But that, having the friends around and having the other avatars from everywhere else in the world around is part of what keeps me in it and keeps me motivated and fixes, I guess, the boredom piece of it.
Understandable. Now, let's say your internet connection went out because of the snow. Let's say the snow came and it knocked out old broadband, turned it into narrow band, so you couldn't Zwift anymore. What's your next go-to? Let personal preference. What's your next go-to for indoor training?
Honestly, I would run over to the gym at the rec center, which is a 700-meter run from my front door, and I'd get on a treadmill.
Jordan running.
I know. Yeah, well, it's a jog. It's a short jog to the gym, and then actually running on a treadmill.
Oh, wow.
I know how that sounds. I've thought about it, and I will do it if, it's getting to the point now where we're 5-6 days of Zwifting in a row because of the snow. And I'm like, well, how would I mix that up? It's not safe to run outside necessarily. Sure, I'll do that short little bit to get to the rec center or what have you. But I think a treadmill is the next best thing.
Well, seeing as you're over there at the rec center, would you take, what about a spin class?
I've done it, and I don't fault anybody who does, but it's not for me. The yelling and the screaming and the loud techno and the...
But wait. How badly do you want, imagine in crit season comes next, what are we looking at? April crit startup?
April,
and
yeah.
Let's say we're smoking it down the road, and we all crack out that sweet choreography that they show on the TikTok videos these days. Pedal, clap.
And that's funny. Don't get me wrong. But I guess that's the point, is that's funny. It's kind of a joke to me.
Do you remember the scene from Dodgeball when Ben Stiller's team comes in and they're doing that?
Yeah.
That could be us.
I have somebody mentioned this the other day, but okay, so when I'm Zwifting, I have my bike set up on the trainer here in the living room, and depending on the lights in the living room or kitchen or whatever, when you walk by behind my building, you can see in the window that I'm pedaling a bike. And one of my neighbors once said, "Oh, do you have a Peloton?" And I felt it was an affront to my person. I was like, do not have a Peloton. I have a smart trainer, and I have my actual bike attached to it. And there is a very important distinction between somebody who rides a Peloton and somebody who rides a smart trainer.
Do you have 20 minutes? I have to tell you about this.
Now, hey, plot twist. I'm going to have you explain to our viewers the difference from your perspective.
Between a Peloton
culturally speaking and technologically speaking.
So this is an interesting thing, because I didn't understand that there was a difference. I thought initially, I shouldn't do that. I thought initially, you pedal. It doesn't matter how you're pedaling, where you're pedaling, what you're pedaling. Pedal is a pedal. I saw an advertisement for, but physiologically it's fairly true. I saw an advertisement one day for a spin class on at like Venice Beach or something, like a famous beach, and they were doing a spin class on there, and I was like, sunny out, you're by the beach. Why are you just like spinning in one spot? Not like go up and down the road. And it's something you had to explain to me. Like spin class is different than actually riding a bike. So I think Peloton is for the spin class people, and it includes a bunch of other stuff on there, right? Peloton does all sorts of workout stuff.
Yeah, actually, Peloton, the brand, thanks to my free Spotify these days, they're bombarding me with ads, and they do all kinds of things. There's treadmill, they have rowing, glide, whatever that is. Maybe that's that like back and forth like power skating thing. I'm
Yeah,
not
I don't
sure,
know.
but they've
It's
got a lot.
specifically fitness though, right? Like it's Peloton
Yeah,
is specifically for the fitness crowd.
yeah, they'll have. My sister does it, and I don't mean to poke fun, because like you said initially, if it keeps you in the saddle and keeps you turning the cranks over, then all the power to you.
But this is where we play the Kenny
But
Powers line where it's like,
you're
I ride bikes, Kate. I don't want to be good at exercise. I play a real sport.
Exactly. They have the dumbbells and the dance moves and that kind of thing.
I still think we got to
I
fit
see.
that in with the paceline practice. So is a couple little like choreography moves.
I'm not opposed to that. It's definitely, it would be on brand for us. Definitely. You know what? I've seen a lot of reels on Instagram of the Peloton instructors, and they're doing the live thing. And I guess if somebody does something, or people end up on the leaderboard or whatever, they'll give a shout out to the usernames of the people who are riding
Oh,
along or whatever. And there's this prank thing where people do different usernames. It's like it reminds me
like
of the it
IP
reminds me
freely.
of the Bart Simpson. Yes, exactly. The Bart Simpson crank calls. Um, let's, oh, hey, shout out to D's nuts. Oh, what? Ah, shit. And that, like, the instructors are just like, they go beat red, and you got me. Oh man, and it's like,
When I get a hold of you, I'm gonna poke your eyes out with a rusty nail.
if I ever catch you. Um,
Both
yeah.
of our
So
most
there's a
Zach
lot of
impressions are
those kinds
really
of reels.
lacking.
There's a lot of those kinds of reels on Instagram, which I find very funny. And maybe that's the perfect metaphor for the difference in culture between the Peloton crowd and the Zwift crowd, or what we'll call, I guess, the more all-encompassing home trainer crowd. Because you don't have to be on Zwift. You can run any dumb trainer, rollers. The purists among us would say it's rollers and YouTube.
So
Like,
I got a
watch.
set of rollers. I got a
Oh
set of
yeah.
rollers from our teammate Shannon, and I set them up on the patio, and actually learned to ride my TT bike in the rollers.
How do you like that? Can,
Precariously.
can you get right down on the skis on the rollers?
Yep, yep,
Wow.
yeah. For like
That's got
moments
to
at a
take some
time. Like,
balance. That's got to
it
take some
doesn't stay there
balance.
forever. Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
It's especially like takes a little bit of fear of death because I put it like right beside the rail so I can hold onto the rail and like get going and then get down in them. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, when you fall, there's always that slight chance that you could fall off the balcony. So I try not to fall off the balcony.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the rollers are actually pretty cool. I recommend the rollers. I recommend rollers if you have some long zone 2 rides to get at, and I guess they like help, you know, they definitely they definitely are the opposite of sitting stuck static to a turbo trainer.
Yeah, I suppose maybe even what I was mentioning earlier around the lack of compliance. And my trainer has compliance, and my bike has compliance, and all of that stuff. But it's still, there is that discomfort that is not as evident on the road. And you would think that rollers would account for that a little bit. I can ride rollers. I have done. I don't prefer it. It does require, it feels like the focus is different. You know? There's a girl on Instagram, her name is Ruby Isaac. She's like a young teenage girl, and she does these tricks on the trainer, you know, like skipping rope all the way over the front wheel. And
What?
no, I'm telling you, man, you should check it out. Ruby X Isaac on Instagram. She does all these different tricks. Like she'll what else has she done? Like bunny hop on, maybe, or ride off. Like there's, you have to check it out. That was her whole thing, I think, for the longest time. And now she's like a influencer, sponsored rider type that gets kit flown.
How many influencing careers got started because people were bored as shit during the pandemic?
You know, I'm proud of every single one of those creators.
Find your niche. Find your niche and
put
exploit the shit out of it.
Oh, yeah. Can you imagine how many podcast episodes we would have to record before somebody would send us a free bib? You would be out of your mind, sponsors, to send us
wrong.
even
Prove
so much.
Wrong.
Yeah, send us some socks.
Dare you.
I dare you. I'll be like, yeah, I'm just trying on the socks on the show.
Now, I'm not going to poke fun at the distinguished gray hair I see coming off your head, but I imagine that you are probably old enough to recall a time in cycling before turbo trainers and Zwift. So tell me, have you put in some time on a dumb trainer with a YouTube video?
Yes. And in fact, I've done a hybrid of the two as well, which is another story again. I wouldn't say that I'm somebody that has a lot of credibility as far as having put in long hours on a dumb trainer. I'm old enough, Wyatt, that I was probably riding a dumb trainer before YouTube existed. So it's funny that you would date yourself by adding the YouTube piece to that.
I think I saw trainers. I saw trainers for the first time in the university gym. We had an indoor track, so I'd go and run track indoors, and the triathlon team showed up and like brought bikes down, and we're sitting there riding on trainers. I think they're probably doing like inside indoor bricks, and yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen it. But actually, I had seen it before on Yumi and Dupree. When Owen Wilson is racing Lance Armstrong on the TV. Not today, Lance.
I don't recall that scene, but
it's iconic scene in trainer history.
There was a guy who had a trainer at the gym in Pal River when we were growing up. He used to coach us a little bit. But beyond that, like before that, it was your typical sort of stationary bike, which, you know, there wasn't much to it. It's like it was a flywheel with a ribbon around it, and then silly looking little handlebars, and it's pretty much just adjust the saddle height. You know the ones I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know.
Maybe. Yeah. Whereas now, yeah, the technology is it's all over the place. You got everything. Like when I try to explain to people what a smart trainer does and how it, I will say this, I say this a lot, but this blows my mind. Like there's people who complain about Zwift, like, oh, Zwift is not all it's cracked up to be. And I'm gobsmacked that I can ride in real time with people from all over the world and have a 3D world render in front of me and have it react to the movements of my body alongside hundreds of other people for whom it is doing the same thing. And all of that to happen live. And there's, you know, the notion, I guess, of like my laptop is sharing the computing power with its servers, with, you know, Wi-Fi and everything else. Like it just, I'm old enough, as you say, to come from an era where, God, that seems like we're living in the future, man.
Yeah, like, well, we are. But I mean, like, that's a relative poverty thing, right? It's a relative poverty is like, oh, my trainer connection dropped out today. Damn it. God, life sucks.
Yeah, I'm guilty of that. I've overcomplicated the amount of things I'm trying to pair at once, and things like that. I've had my share of technical difficulties, but the the fact is, most of the time it works, and the just the notion that all of that can be working at once is mind blowing to me. And I'm not somebody who is easily impressed by technology. I work like marketing technology all day long, and so I'm pretty ho hum about most of it. But I still, every time I jump on Zwift, I think this is incredible. Something silly like it'll start snowing or
Wow.
the
Speaking
sun
of
will go
Owen
down.
Wilson, hey? Wow.
Wow. I mean, it is really, really cool.
That was a much better than your most Zizak impression. Now, outside of outside of the inside of the virtual reality, we still got to deal with a few of the physical realities of cycling indoors, and one of those that I suffer from is a little bit of hyper-hydrosis when I'm inside. I got two fans going, and still I'm oh, I don't know if there's any family friendly alliterations I can do here. Still, I'm sweating very much.
I don't think we're a family friendly show, man. You got swass.
Still, I'm sweating like a whore in church.
You got that sweaty ass. Yeah, it's a thing for sure. I personally I like the heat. Like there's like we just came through a bit of a cold snap, and I was actually pretty excited about the idea of riding Zwift just to be able to generate some heat in my living room, no fans. Whereas if the temperature outside is relatively normal, or normal for our winter, I guess, which is 6, 7, 8 degrees, I'll be running two fans during a race effort and still do a bit of sweating. But I enjoy that. I like.
We've solved the green energy. We've solved our energy problems, our reliance on fossil fuels. Actually, we're just gonna hook
I
up all our trainers to the power grid.
I think we ought to. The technology exists. Can you imagine if we had to? I actually wrote a short story about a kid who had done that, built a power generator where he had to pedal to power his village.
Love it.
Wasn't
Love
a
it.
very
Send
good
it to me.
story.
Send it to me. We're
No,
gonna read it on air. That'll be my solo podcast when Jordan calls in sick.
yeah.
The boy who powered the
There was
village.
rudimentary solar panels and stuff that he had built.
I feel like there's some sort of like kid with his finger in the dike allegory there.
Probably,
Or a kid
yeah.
that they left pedaling his bike so everybody could go play at the casino. I get so sweaty on that stupid thing that it like so another thing is like I'm worried about the noise with my neighbors because I live in a condo. So I have I have the foam tiles, and then I have like another mat on top of the foam tiles so
Mhm.
that like I can like catch the sweat. So I'm like in a little kiddie pool of sweat by the time I'm done, because I like you got to do like done a couple like 2 or 3 hour rides, and it's absolutely disgusting. And found the way around it is you can get industrial strength those spill kit things, and I kept putting those
Oh,
down on the floor to trap everything, because like then they'll get under the pads, and then it gets into the flooring, and then it leaks into like the downstairs guy, and like, hey, your shower's leaking. Like, yeah, shower.
I thought you were going to say industrial strength fan, and then that becomes the loudest thing. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
sounds like a plane taking off.
But yeah, the so I think the noise insulation is pretty good. As far as I have the spill kit going down, I don't know if maybe probably put some wood shavings down, hey, or pile of straw.
Yeah, bark chips or something. I uh, I just use a yoga mat and then two towels over my um, handlebar and headset, because have you ever seen somebody remove the bar tape from a aluminum bar that has been on a trainer,
Yeah.
and that white corrosion and just nastiness that. So I try to protect my headset bearings from me to a certain extent, but otherwise, yeah, just let it flow. I got sick one time. I don't know if we should bring that up or not, but that yoga mat has caught more than sweat. Let's put it that
That's how
way.
you know. That's how you know you. That's how you know you're doing it right.
You worked hard enough. Yeah, it was racing league night at the end of a particularly hard team time trial effort, and I didn't make it to the sink in time, so I had to turn back and aim for the yoga mat.
In the bucket, eh?
Well, I know Zwifters now who, I won't name names, but keep a bucket nearby for exactly that problem.
That's going too hard. Because I don't need to Zwift that hard. Oh, maybe I need to. I don't want to Zwift that hard.
You don't. Nobody has to necessarily, but you can't predict, when you're going to go that deep, because that sicky feeling always comes like a couple of minutes after a hard effort. It's never during, right? It's always like when you're finished and you're like, okay, now I feel green.
Speaking of hard efforts, gotta get some playlists to get you through this. I think we talked about playlists on maybe our unreleased underground episode, our mock trial episode.
Sure.
Did
we not release it? We should release it.
We should. I think we gave it to a few loyal
Insiders.
fans. The insiders. Look at our Patreon. Let's go to our Patreon.
I love that we gave a shout out to Mario last episode, and he's like the only one who listens. Shout out to our one listener.
All of the ads go directly to all of our shout outs are directly aimed at Mario. That's the audience.
Yep.
What's on your playlist? So what's on your so I got two things going on here. So like one is it might as well be a playlist, because even on race night, you can turn the mic on, but I don't have good enough mics, and I mean all you're gonna hear from me when my headset is on in the Discord chat is and I mean that gets old after a little while. So
sure.
I'm thinking Enter Sandman by Metallica instead would be a better choice.
Excellent choice. Yeah. An entire Metallica playlist even.
Here, let's make an ideal playlist right now.
Master of Puppets.
Master of Puppets is good. It's 7 minutes long too, so you can get a lot of heavy lifting out of Master of Puppets.
Enter Sandman's close to 6 too, isn't it though? Like or 5 and change.
Hell, I can't remember. I just listened to that first part where they, before the.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun,
You just
dun,
want that
dun,
part.
dun, dun.
We talked about Kickstart My Heart was a good one. Kickstart My Heart was got me through a lot of training rides on the old Swift, and then it was like stuck in my head when I did my A race later that year, and I was very thankful for that. Like not stuck in my head in a bad way.
Killing in the Name by Rage Against the Machine.
Ooh, yeah, it's a good one right there. It's a good one right there.
Seven Nation Army by the White Stripes.
Seven Nation Army is good. It's good.
I like anything that is old, like 2000s era house music. I listen to a lot of that.
I don't know if any of those things actually have names. I just say house music, and then like some shit starts playing, and I'm just like, oh yeah, house music. I love this one. Yeah, the one, the do one.
Yeah.
Limp Bizkit is as ashamed of myself as I am to say this. I have a playlist called White Trash Trainer, and it's mostly Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit. So don't judge me on this, but like sometimes when you're in the zone, you're in the zone.
My name is Kid. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. American Badass. Watch me
American
kick.
Badass. There it is. Yeah. I am not above listening to that either. Maybe less so the Limp Bizkit stuff. I still like break stuff because I still have that simmering teenage angst lives within me. But
the rolling one, the rolling, because it like when you're on a
rolling
bike, you're
song, yeah,
rolling,
sure,
right?
okay, fair enough.
So you gotta
yeah,
like you're on your bike, and then you can say, "Hey, this song's like what I'm doing," but you don't say it out loud. You just say it to yourself, so you don't look like a total dick. And lo and behold, there are actually lyrics to that song. I challenged one of our comrades to tell me what those lyrics were, and she didn't have a great answer, but I mean, like for that song, it's close enough.
Mm-hmm,
You just rolling, 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 rolling. And I think if you just repeat that enough, that becomes a song. So yeah, there's a pretty good little meth addict playlist we got there. Meth addict, Zwift addict.
Not bad, not bad.
Bit of house music, bit of new rock, I think they called it. White trash.
Yeah. I guess when I'm really when I really want to like do a hard effort, only the heavier stuff really makes sense. If it just feels like you should be angry and raging, it seems appropriate. I don't know.
Funnel that into the cranks, buddy.
Yeah, why not?
Um
Pantera.
oh, Cowboys from Hell. Or
Yeah,
Motorhead, Ace of Spades. That's a good one.
sure. Yeah, anything with just that absolutely kind of like grinding rhythm just gets you going.
Slayer, Raining Blood.
That's getting still a little bit heavier for
Well,
me.
you're not pedaling
As
hard
much
enough then. You're not pedaling hard enough.
I've always been a big heavy metal fan, but Slayer was just a tad too heavy for me.
What
Just Pantera isn't, but what's that? Anthrax, Public Enemy. Shit, I gotta remember the name of it now.
wait a second. Wait a second. We have a way to sort this out, son. We're no dummies. Jamie, pull that up for us, will you? Jamie, pull that up. Anthrax and Public Enemy.
Link it up, man. Bring the noise. It's called Bring the Noise.
They did a Bring the Noise crossover. Oh my gosh, I like this.
Yeah.
Definitely, we'll throw a link to that up in the show notes here.
Indeed. There's a joke I saw on Instagram the other day too. Everybody's using it. You know how they make reels using the sound of somebody else's video?
Yeah.
There's a comedian called Theo Vaughn, and he was on a podcast, and he said something like, "I can't think of it. What woman in her right mind is going to be turned on by a man riding a bicycle that goes nowhere?" Or something to that effect. Like the quote is almost like, I'm paraphrasing, but it's something like that. Like, what woman is going to be turned on when her husband gets on a bike that goes nowhere? And
yeah, I can see
there are like countless Instagram reels of people Zwifting with that as the background track. And I thought, if I was ever going to go to the trouble of finding a clip to put in this edit into this show, that would be a funny one to find.
Yeah, why don't you go ahead and change your background? We'll show Theo Vaughn what's up.
Theo Vaughn. Good enough for the girls I know. Let's put it that way.
Didn't you have a different background picture? It would probably settle that argument right there.
Yeah, yes. Let's yeah.
While you're bringing that up, it's time for us to there we go. There we go. Fathers, lock up your daughters.
It's that's you, my friend, on the trainer.
Look at the mustache on that guy. Gosh dang.
I think if I go into OBS, can I move that around even? I thought I could.
Get those pecs out.
Oh no, here. Yeah.
Look at that guy. Thumbs up.
Yeah, got the heart rate monitor, like a USB key hanging from your neck. No, that's like what is that? A jade necklace or something?
Pona Mutonga.
See, I knew it had to be some sort of Kiwi thing. Tell me about it. What is that?
It's like a thing. It's like a cultural thing from New Zealand. They're like special, like symbolic stuff. It's like basically it's like a little totem or something. Okay, we went well over time.
Go ahead. We? Okay. Well, we haven't done
our. We're 10 minutes past our
half hour.
Our promise to ourselves.
Like practically a 45-minute show. Oh, before our segment.
Yeah,
I just wanted to make the joke that I showed. My daughter and her friend were here, and I pulled up this image or whatever, and she said, "Why do you guys send each other thirst traps?" See, I was like, "That's exactly what." See,
you asked for this. You made me wreck my fucking resolution. I made resolutions on the last show, and the first thing you do for the second show is try and mess up my resolutions.
I tell you what, anybody who wants a copy of this image, it has been text messaged to me, and I have it. So if you DM me on Instagram or DM Rule 43 Podcast on Instagram, I will send you a copy of this image.
Yeah, we not only do we market the podcast, we market the podcast, we market our cycling club, and we now market wallpapers for your phone and your computer background.
This is exclusive to Patreon subscribers and our OnlyFans. This is just our OnlyFans content. Anyway, man, let's do the segment.
Okay, so the segment today for our to keep it with the theme of the show is a segment from Zwift. So you get one of the achievements on Zwift is the volcano circuit. I think there's like a 10, a 5, a 10 or something. But anyway, the biggest one is 25 laps. 25 laps of the volcano circuit. It's a 102K segment, 421 meters of elevation, and it sucks.
That does sound like it sucks. I mean, I was going to say this earlier when you say you do the 2-3 hour trainer rides. Any 2-hour trainer ride sucks. But that sounds... Now, it's only 400 meters of elevation over 2 hours, which doesn't sound completely awful. But 2 hours on a trainer no matter what, and 25 laps, like the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to focus pretty hard to keep yourself in the game, something like that.
This was I don't know. Have you done this one?
I've done the volcano circuit, but there's nothing in me that wants to do it 25 consecutive times at all. Nothing.
I did this with for the Rapha 500. This was one of my Rapha 500 rides. Boat made me cry. I think my best time is a little bit over 3 hours, which was tough getting there as well. The record is 2:08 by Tom Obdam. Tom, if you're out there listening, my hat is off to you, sir.
Obdam is exactly what I'm thinking.
Obdam, all right.
Is there a point? And this is funny too, because I'm a bike racer. I've been riding my bike for long hours for ages and ages and ages, and I know the answer to the question. I'm going to ask it anyways. But is there a time when you break through past that sore ass phase where 2 to 3 hour trainer rides start to... This is discouraging.
No.
Because outside there is, right? Or there's a, if you go on an hour-long ride and you haven't been on one in ages, you're going to have some soreness. But if you go on an hour-long ride every day for a week, eventually everything adjusts and it no longer becomes an issue. Like 2-hour trainer ride, you're doing a lot of shifting around in your seat and standing up to, stretch the legs out, so to speak. But it's not stretch the legs out; it's readjust the position of the fabrics and such.
Yeah,
I don't think that's too much information. Like, this is just a thing that people like. It is a real thing. I've seen people do, the Rapha 500 in a single sitting. And
I saw that the other day too. That's insane.
When I say single sitting, I mean it's like I guess it's a single ride.
But who did it? I saw it on Strava. It was
I think it was Melanie Catcher. Locally did one. But I'm fairly certain she had the good sense to switch out her bib midway.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
I don't know what the secret is.
It's like you must.
I feel like you get to a basement on one of them long rides on Strava, and there's just like no getting out of it till you quit. Like I bonked the other day on Strava like an idiot. Like I'm in like 5 steps away from my kitchen, and yeah, didn't
I
drink
had
enough
a
water.
I had a handful of granola bars with me for the 2 hours and 39 minutes that I did the other day, just in case, so I wouldn't have an excuse to get off the trainer. I
Yeah,
only ate one of them,
no.
but
And you feel gross, like you sweated everywhere, and like the ground's all sweaty, and like you can't feel your wiener anymore. It's like you turn into Ken doll Cross with the bibs, and I mean, you just you don't like yourself, and you're like, why am I so dumb that I would do this for 2 hours? And everything's sore, and you're like, fuck.
and I have nothing but respect for anybody that puts those kinds of hours in on a trainer. I followed a guy on Strava yesterday, and he had 36 hours of Zwift in the previous 30 days. And that just seems like a lot, right? That's an average of an hour and a half, or I guess we're an hour and change a day on Zwift.
Yeah,
And
and I just like I
out
don't feel good about myself after I do it. Like the only good thing about after doing one of them long sessions is it's over. Like you don't feel like I don't feel like I've accomplished anything. Like it's not like
I
doing a big
do.
ride outside where you're like, hell yeah, look, I did
Well,
this.
I still feel a tremendous sense of accomplishment. And I guess maybe that's what I'm getting at, is that that is a big deal when people put in those kinds of, and I'm not talking about 500 kilometers, because that's a whole another universe
Mm.
of like crazy. I can't wrap my head around that's epic to the point of just being completely over the top.
Yeah, Mel
But the
Catcher
fact that you can
outside. How
do,
about that?
yeah,
Hat is
that
off
was
to you,
good.
Mel.
That was good. Um, but the fact that you can do 2-3 hours routinely, like that's amazing, dude. It's
It's not
amazing.
like that's the thing though. It's ugh.
And we're making it seem worse than it is. I mean, not the 2-3 hour. That's awful. Don't get me wrong. That's it's not fun. It's not easy. But indoor training itself isn't terrible. It's a suitable alternative to riding outside. I still, once I am started and paired with the game and rolling, I don't hate it. Getting everything set up is a bit tedious when compared with riding outside, which is, it shouldn't be, but it feels like it is. Getting motivated to throw the leg over the bar is
Well, I always
the
forget
hard part.
something too. Like I forget to put the thing on my thing, or I forget to turn the fan on, or like one of my water bottles isn't full, or something stupid like that.
Kids are handy that way. I can text message my kids and get a water bottle filled up, or reach over there and grab dad that towel, because yes, it happens, right? And
I
I'm
should get one of them old people like claw things for like when you drop shit and you don't want to bend over and pick it up.
the towel. Yeah. I mean, you if you drop your towel, I've started a ride before without towels, and then it's like, well, now what am I going to do? Or like a race, right? You can't. I'm not stopping my race to fetch a towel. Like, this is it.
Blowing on your handlebars where you're going.
Just
Get out of there.
oh man.
What a beauty. And there's no better way to wreck a TV show either than to go on like a 2 hour ride and try watch a TV show.
I think you mentioned this before. Yeah, that you just end up hating whatever it is that you're watching. Or when you're watching a really good show and it just seems like time flies by.
Yeah, it
That's
doesn't happen.
certainly
It's like
not
the
going to be
opposite
the
of that.
case when you're, it'll just
You just
seem like it's
resent it.
dragging. Yeah, like if try to do like, well, I'll just watch 2 episodes back to back and that'll keep me on the trainer. Like, yeah, right now episodes feel like they're 6 hours long a piece.
Get to the point.
We're 49 minutes, my friend. Maybe we can almost call it. What do you think? You got anything else in our show notes that we need to talk about in this
we
round?
about skinned it right there. I mean,
Covered
this is a lot nicer than indoor training session. Maybe one of these episodes we ought to try and do it on indoor training session.
have us actually pedaling on Zwift while recording.
pedal on
I
Zwift.
have a friend, shout out to Lee Zavaris, who does the live Twitch thing while he's Zwifting, Zwift racing and whatnot. And I've thought about that. That's a lot going on at once. You know? Like, could you do either one of those things well if you're trying to do them both at the same time?
Well, I think the key is to be, again, you got to find that niche.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I mean, there's certainly an audience for it, and it's there's lots of people who live stream their racing, which is all well and good. I just think, God, if I had to be worried about all that technology and all of that stuff and racing the bike at the same time, that's a lot to worry about.
You'd have the commentary, and then you just ride around with road rage the whole time. People tune into that. I would tune into that.
I tend to keep pretty silent. There's like this ride that I went on yesterday. There's people who are just typing constantly and chatting the whole time.
I don't know who does that.
Not me, I'll tell you that much. Not me.
And they're still cranking out watts. They're still beating me.
I don't understand it. I have a job to do, and it's pedal my bike, and I'm not like, I don't find any of that stuff funny. I read it because you gotta distract yourself from, you know, the work at hand. But yeah, no, I'm not there to socialize. The exception is when
you're there to
Discord.
socialize.
Well, we do Discord during races
socialize.
and we chit chat with each other. I mean, I love that with the fellas. We have a good time.
Yeah.
There is it's like mutual admiration / like commiseration society that takes place, you know, where it's like we suffer together.
Yeah, that's when it's team building.
Yeah. Don't be discouraged. If you're watching this show, don't be discouraged. Try it out.
Go ahead, sign up.
Indoor training isn't so bad.
Invest
when it's
$1,000.
really, really bad. Yeah, invest. Yeah. At least it is that. It's more than that, actually, I think, these days, isn't it?
I'd rather not. I'd rather not know.
My tax. I think it was considerably more than that. But, all right. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Well, it's been a blast as always.
Indeed, sir. It's always a good time. Thank you for talking me into doing this, and we get to spend time together and
you betcha.
I'll chat about my favorite topics. Really.
And thank you, Mario. Thank you, Mario, for your unwavering support.
And Stu for both of you
and
for
Stu,
watching. Yeah.
Our audience too. Thank you very much.
We have 7 subscribers on YouTube, so take that.
Yeah, I kind of mass texted a bunch of people.
That's how you do it, man. Got to self-promotion. Get the word out.
Shameless self-promotion.
Need to be tagging more people. Who else could we name drop and then tag in our next show so that we get?
Oh, that's right. Well, Melanie Catcher outside.
We're gonna tag you, and
everybody likes her. She's that girl that did that thing.
Yeah. All right, buddy. There could be worse things to be famous for than that. All right.
Okay.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Keep the rubber side down and
don't be a jackass.
There it is. Take care,
all right,
pal.
cowboy. See you later.
Bye.